Welcome back to my channel. I'm back home and I spent $40 on plants and some roses. I bought zucchini, eggplant, and basil. And now I have to see if I can try to put some holes in my plastic planters because the old ones had no holes in them, and so I need to put them in, or else my plants will all die again. Anyway, I'll catch up with you a little bit later. guys. Okay, so we're ready to talk about the third and last part of the case, the very mysterious case of the missing boys of Caledon. And so yesterday we were talking about how the McCormicks did not appear to be cooperating with the police or looking for the boys, and they piqued the suspicion of the OPP. And so there was something about this case that just, you know, never really hit home very well, very hard. There was something off about it. And it's still like that. That would be not only because investigators have to remain tight-lipped as they can, in order to continue with their investigations in a smooth manner, so to speak. But, you know, it's just that maybe people are not telling the truth or leaving things out deliberately. So, you know, let's go over some of the strange facts of the case. And I've already mentioned a couple yesterday. So, okay, the most jarring facts of this case are those that either don't make perfect sense or just sound simply made up and false. And I want to add here that the article written by Andrew Livingstone was very well written, but we have to, you know, stop ourselves and say, you know, is it true? No matter how well written or how well narrated a story is, if it's not factual, it's worthless, right? So, okay, so number one, and I've mentioned this one, why did Eric go to the McCormick farm on August the 24th if he wasn't friendly with Junior? Okay. Dave said he didn't know Kim wasn't there. But how do we know that he was going to see Kim? You know, unless I had Eric standing right here in front of me saying that he was in love with Kim or he was a great friend of Kim's, I'm not gonna believe it, because it could be anything, right? Also, Dave said Eric went to get me. He went over to the farm to get me. That doesn't sound right. Why wouldn't Dave just go to his house? Something is really off about that. So, and then Dave said, I wasn't there. And so Eric left. Okay. Now, how does Dave know all this if he wasn't there? Don't forget, Dave didn't come home until the morning after. So how would he have known all this? If Junior wasn't around and Eric wasn't around, how would he have known? You know what I'm saying? And unless, you know, even if they had had a conversation on the phone, don't forget, guys, there were no email in 1981, no cell phones. And a couple of these people didn't have a landline. So, how did Dave know all this? So, when Dave says he went to get me, he left to get me, did you need help to come away from there? What did Dave's statement really mean? I took it immediately, and I know it's not right, to mean that Eric went to Fort Erie to get Dave. With the farm car, likely. You know what I'm saying? It didn't make sense to me. And I don't think it's the journalist that's at fault here. I think he was trying to make do as best as he could with facts and statements that were really weird, you know? And so, anyway, so why didn't the McCormicks look for the boys? Furthermore, why did John Sr. suggests they stowed away in his truck. Is that in fact what happened? And if they did do that, why didn't he just bring them back? Is that what really happened? In any case, John Sr.'s statement caused the police to postpone the search around midnight until the next morning. And so also they didn't have the proper resources back then to look for two boys in the forest in the dark. You know what I'm saying? So another fact that really stands out like a sore thumb, and there's something wrong here. Why was everybody denying these two boys' friendship? They had to have known about each other. Come on. They lived next door to each other or up the street from one another. So who would care that much whether they were friends or not? Well, these people did. They don't want us to think that they were friends at all. And I don't know why. I mean, if they had robbed a bank together or committed another crime together or something like that, I can understand they didn't want to be associated with each other. Okay, whatever. But that's not what was going on here. And so, despite what the initial police reports and news articles said, that Junior and Eric were indeed friends, which I believe, Kim denied it. Also, when she told the police that the boys were not at home at 9 o'clock that night. Nobody was there except Dad, drinking beer on the couch. So Dave denied it also when he said he was friends with Junior and Eric wasn't. What the? I don't understand this. And the journalist, Andrew Livingstone, also denied it when he remarked that the boys were not friends. What the heck is going on here? Now I'm very suspicious. Not that if they were friends, but what is the big problem? What is the big deal about being friends with another boy? I don't understand it. And so, not only that, Andrew Livingstone added detail to it, trying to explain how Eric met Junior and how he met Kim through his own little sister. Well, who the heck cares? You guys live next door to each other. You're going to meet whether you want to or not. You know what I'm saying, guys? All this detail is not important to the story, unless, of course, it has something to do with why they disappeared. And so another remarkable fact is the idea that Kim and the Lalondes disagree on the boys' presence at the farm at 9 p.m. that night. Why did they disagree? It's, very simple. It was still daylight at 9 p.m. in August, on August 24th. And John, she distinctly says that they were not there. They were not there. And yet, the Lalondes insist, and they even give detail of what they were wearing, and yet John McCormick's clothing is not described in the John Doe website, but Eric's is. So I don't understand what is going on. This is really careless. I don't know if it's the police that didn't pick up on the clothing details from Lalonde. They gave them the clothing details, exactly what they were wearing. Both of them. The bikes, everything. And the fact that, Paul had to back up carefully because there were kids in the driveway. I don't get it. I don't get it, Kim. Why is the big discrepancy? What was that all about? Were they hiding on her? No, it couldn't have been, guys. So, another thing, John Sr. died 6 years later in 1987. And so after that, much later, in 2008, Kim told a private investigator that his shop, that her father's old shop, was a tax shelter. And it used to be a place for her father to go and drink with buddies. So I don't understand the context of that. I understand the drinking with the buddies, but I don't understand if his shop was always a tax shelter or a tax shelter since his death. I don't understand the context completely. It could be that the journalist was dealing with very vague details and very confusing ones like the rest of the case. And so Kim said that John Sr. gave George his credit card on August the 5th. Really, Kim? I'm imagining that she did tell this to the police in 1981 because count 1981 to 2008, that's a heck of a lot of years to go by without mentioning. You know, I'm hoping that Kim did mention this. And so John Sr. gave George McCullough his credit card on August the 25th, the day after the boys vanished, to go and fill up his truck with gas. Why? What the heck for? Where did John Sr. send George that it was so important that he refill his truck right up to the brim with gasoline? Why? Another thing, it's unclear whether or not McCullough removed a front-end loader from the property, that farm, John Sr.'s farm, that night, as some people have suggested, nor where he would have gone with it. Okay, that's strange. That is strange. Kim also told she took a private investigator to what they thought might have been the property location that George rented out while he was working for the McCormicks. And so in 2008, they went to see that property, and it was a dilapidated old house in Dufferin County on Hockley Road. And this is what really gets me wild, guys. Nobody knows if it was searched. The investigator won't confirm it. And he won't confirm it as being the proper house. So, you know what? I want to really, you know, I want to really rant and rave against the police, but I don't know what's going on here. And they could have been more clear and more concise. People are worried. Even if the McCormicks weren't worried, other people were related to little John. Other people cared about him and Eric. So it's just a matter of courtesy. Just because decades and decades go by, that doesn't mean, you know, investigators can get sloppy. Now, I don't know what the case is here, but to me it looks like a whole lot of sloppiness. Nothing in the records, nothing in the reports. Okay, so they wouldn't even confirm if he was a suspect due to preserving the investigation integrity. Really? Maybe you were just trying to preserve the integrity of the police station? You tell me. Because that's not normally how you conduct yourself in an investigation. You know what I'm saying? So, Lloyd Larsfolk's wife, Beverly, and George both died in 2000. And George died just months after he was diagnosed with cancer and was legally charged with dragging his dog down the road while tied to his truck. Yes, that is the kind of man that John Sr. liked dealing with. And so it does seem that cancer was not George's only health problem, for sure, because that is truly sick. And so through the years, Lloyd trespassed on private property and broke into someone's home to look for Eric after getting a call saying Eric and John were being held captive in a basement of that particular home. It was very early in the morning, and he received that phone call. So instead of calling the police, Lloyd skedaddled over to that house and eventually got in and began to yell Eric's name. I'm laughing because I'm thinking of myself in this same situation. If it had been me, I would have gone in there with a baseball bat. So he woke the person, he woke up the homeowner, and the homeowner came out with a gun. Okay, that's not too funny, but Lloyd didn't care, and I can imagine how he must have felt. He just wanted his son, Eric. But we all know that wasn't the best choice he ever made. And so police did thoroughly look at everyone who was close to the boys. What about George? Go back and look at him. Yo, you can't because he's not here anymore. Why are we hearing all this crap after the suspects died? I don't understand it. So, and yet, in the Christine Jessup case, they didn't make any delays in arresting the wrong person. That was serious. So, you know what I'm saying, guys? I don't understand it. I don't understand this case at all. Anyway, it seems as though the police are saying, well, we all know what happened to them, and we don't need to tell you. That's the kind of message. You know? I don't know how to look at it. So, the list of suspects was short, but it included John Sr. and his friend George. George worked on the farm in 1981 when the boys disappeared. And so Kim said none of them liked him. And that could be why he was there. So the investigator also went to 2 other properties that George rented out on Hockley Road in Dufferin County. But current investigators won't confirm where it was, if it was searched, It is very hard to trust police when they do this. Very hard. And so, okay, Lloyd wondered if Eric and John Jr. would be in one of these properties, and I would have wondered too. I still wonder. And so after decades and decades of searching, Eric's father knew that there was little more he could do to find his son, after so many failed searches and no new leads. And so in 2000, radar equipment became technologically developed, and they were able to check concrete floors of the McCormick barn, and nothing was detected. I wonder if that was before or after Joyce sold the farm. So the 2 main suspects died, George in 2000 and John Sr. in 1987, only 6 years after the boys disappeared. And so Lloyd's oldest son, Dave, feels responsible for Eric's disappearance because he wasn't there to help his brother that night. He was still in Fort Erie, allegedly. And so Darlene McCormick, Jr.'s aunt, said things were never the same after the boys disappeared, and Darlene hoped that she would see, at that time, her nephew again. This was before 2012. And so she and her husband kept the same phone number for decades so John could call if he was hurt or in trouble. Since 1981, and that will be also because John Sr. didn't want a phone. So since 1981, Darlene passed away in 2012, and Lloyd never gave up hope that he would see the boys again. The whereabouts of Eric and John McCormick Jr. remain unknown. John Sr. was one of several persons of interest in this disappearance, but he did die in 1987. Well, you would have figured by then the police might have had more ideas about it, but I don't understand what was done, really. They searched in the woods, okay, and what else? I don't know. I really dislike the way that this case was handled. I really do. And I don't like the way the journalist fluffed it up and the police withheld. I don't like those games. Tell the truth. Tell the truth, both of them. The police and the journalists. Tell the truth. If you don't know it, don't say anything. Don't say, I think this, we didn't do that. Just say the truth. Like that, people don't wonder. And so, the police haven't ruled out foul play, and neither have I. We don't know what happened. So we need to find their remains, and with the advances in forensic sciences, hopefully we'll be able to determine how they died if we do ever come across them. But for over 30 years, and probably more now, because this was written a long time ago, their disappearance has remained a mystery, which has left family and friends waiting for answers. And so, guys, those are the points. Why did Kim wait so long to tell the public about that credit card, you know, that interaction, that transaction, I should say? And why did she disagree with the Lalondes, who had such specific detail on what the boys were wearing, what they were doing, where they were? They were there, guys, at 9 p.m. And so I really think that that is when whatever happened, it didn't happen at 6, it didn't happen at 7, it happened after 9. And you have to remember too, Kim was expected home at 9, so nothing could happen before then. Nothing could happen before then. Whoever was involved in this, nothing could happen until then. And then after the Lalondes took off to go home, the boys disappeared. I don't think that that was the last time. Maybe that was the last time Lloyd saw Eric. But he was still around 2 hours later at 9 p.m. at the McCormick farm. Whether he was looking for Dave or not, it doesn't matter. Whether he was friends or not with John Jr., it doesn't matter. Because if those were the facts that were hinged upon their disappearance, then it was wrong, guys. I think that there was something about the boys that people didn't want anybody else to know. Whether or not they just took off and disappeared, I don't know. They very well may have, but I can't say that I think that they were the type to do that. And, you know, why was the truck, you know, all of a sudden, why was the truck such a big deal? Why was the truck such a big deal that night and right before the police stopped searching? And why did the truck suddenly become a big hot theme here for the police? Oh, they stowed away in the truck. Okay, we'll postpone the search. I don't understand why they postponed the search. Why would you believe John Sr.? You know, there's so many things that don't add up here. And so, you know, like I said, they didn't look for John Jr. They packed up his room and that was it. The McCormicks were not at all concerned about it. So I don't know how to take it. I really don't know how to take it. Anyway, guys, this is the end of the video. Thank you very much for listening and watching. And please don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye for now.